Meeting for Monday, June 3rd. Jordan, would you start us off with the roll call, please?
Please respond by stating present. Councilmember Ronayne.
Present.
Fauberg.
Present.
Liebelt.
Present.
Reif.
Present.
Johnson.
Present.
Reinbold.
Present.
Langer.
Present.
Norvstrup.
Present.
Mayor Schoeneman.
Present. Please stand for me with the Pledge of Allegiance. First order of business will be to approve this week's agenda. I'd take a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion, Councilman Reif, second, Councilman Ronayne. Not aware of any changes, so I will take a voice vote on that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we've got our minutes from last week, May 28th. I would take a motion to approve those minutes.
Move to approve.
Motion Reinbold, second Liebelt. Anyone have any changes or anything to discuss as it relates to those minutes? All right, then all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We do have an open forum guest, but I see that he's here to talk about an issue that is on our agenda, so if it makes sense, I'll just have him kind of shuffle in and give us a couple of minutes of his time during that new business item segment. I think probably be the most efficient way to handle this, if he's still interested in talking at that time. So we'll skip right along to our consent calendar, where we've got a proclamation as well as 5 items of routine city business. No one's here for the proclamation, so I'm just going to do a vote for our consent calendar items as a package here. Someone care to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, Councilwoman Fauberg, second, Councilman Ronayne. Anyone have anything on any of these items? All right, then all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We've got a single item of old business here to discuss here tonight. It's the second reading and approval of an ordinance titled 240502, which amends the zoning regulations for the Aberdeen City Code regarding temporary political campaign signs. Wasn't here last week, but it looks like it passed with flying colors, and it was a result of state law changes. Ron, anything new?
No, Mr. Mayor, and I received no comments during this week, so staff recommends approval.
All right, and then just for clarification, this should shorten the amount of time in which politicians can put signs in yards.
Well, that's not the intended consequence, but that's what will happen this time. We are tying the language of the ordinance to the period for absentee voting, which we understand can be changed by statute. And if that were to change at statutory level, then it of course would affect our ordinance, but we did. This is just going to keep it as is, and track language in the statute.
Sounds good, Ron. I appreciate the information on that. Anyone on the council care to make a motion on the second reading and final adoption of this ordinance?
I'll move
to
it.
approve. I'll second.
All right, got a motion from Reinbold, second from Liebelt. Anyone from the council have any questions, changes? All right, then, Jordan, would you give us a roll call vote then, please?
Councilmember Ronayne.
Aye.
Fauberg.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Reif.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Reinbold.
Aye.
Langer.
Aye.
Norvstrup.
Aye.
Mayor Schoeneman.
Aye, motion carries. Next, we've got a single item of new business. This is a possible first reading and passage of a resolution which declares intent to increase the downtown bid occupation tax rate. Robin, were you going to step us through that from the city's vantage point?
I'll start it out. A number of months ago, we sat down with the bid board. Alexa had asked that we, as a staff and her board, get together and start talking about this and start having some dialogue about what they had for thoughts for their future and how they wanted to accomplish those things. We have met with them subsequently a time or two, and you know, really what our thing was, we wanted to make sure that they did their marketing with their constituents, that they took care of certain parts of the communication with their constituents, and that whatever they brought to the city council was something that they felt they had consensus with their downtown group. During the course of those discussions, we back calculated when they needed to have things in place so that it would meet the taxation timeline. And so with that, I'd like Ron to walk us through the process that is required as part of this change and the timeline. We've got time to have some decent discussions. So what's in front of you is a proposed timeline, but we've got time to visit and discuss things if there are any concerns. So Ron, why don't you walk us through
And then
that?
real quick, Robin,
Yeah.
I don't see that timeline in the packet. I have it from communication, but is it in this packet or is there?
It is
No.
not in the packet. We
Okay.
could provide that for everyone to be able to see, and I'll talk through that a little bit. But this process of changing the occupation tax rate levy for the downtown business improvement district requires that we follow the statutory procedures for notice, and that procedure is intended to give ample time, ample notice to all the landowners in the district, and to give time for them and for the council to consider any opposition, any protests of those potential tax rate increases, and to act accordingly. What we have now is we've got this set up, starting with the resolution of intent tonight, and that is the first required process. To even make the change, the council has to adopt a resolution of intent. And it sounds like you've already made your decision. You haven't made your decision. What you're letting landowners know is that you've been asked to make this change, you are intending to make this change, and here's the process that we have to go through. But of course, that process, when you get all the input, you may come up with some changes, some other revisions that we would make, but this does start that process. Following the resolution of intent, if the council were to adopt that, then a notice needs to be sent out to all the landowners of the district. And that notice has to give them a minimum of 30 days advance notice that you're considering this change, and sets a public hearing for them to come in.
And that's from the city.
That's from the city. That all has to come through us as we go through changing the ordinance, change in compliance with the statutes. So we do give this, and we've got it set up right now for, if you were to approve the resolution of intent tonight, we've got a 45-day hearing time. So it would be July 15th when we'd be looking at the public hearing on this. And that would give everybody an opportunity to ask their questions, to visit with the council members to visit with their constituents, and decide if this is something they want more information on. It gives people an opportunity to clear their calendars and be present at the hearing, and to make their support or opposition known. What we've got it set up for right now is if we were to go forward with the resolution of intent tonight, public hearing on July 15th, first reading of an ordinance, changing the rate, second reading of an ordinance, an effective date, we would be effective as of the end of August. Jordan needs to be able to know by November 1st, so 2 months later, he has to be able to certify to the Director of Equalization, the Assessor's Office, what those amounts are. So we've actually got built in two months of cushion here. So if the council wants to conceivably push things back a little bit, we do have time built into the schedule where we could do that. Having said that, though, this resolution of intent is the very first step, and it's a required statutory step. So that's how we have to start this process. If you are considering the change, we know that members of ADA, the bid board are here to answer potential questions of any council members, but we would start with that, and then the process plays out. And July 15th would be the actual public hearing.
All right. Well, thank you for that description. Anything else, Robin?
No.
On that? All right, so I know I see there's quite a few interested parties in the crowd here, but if someone had the interest to make a motion on the resolution, then it would be worthwhile having the full discussion. If not, then,
So moved.
all right.
Second.
Got a motion from Councilwoman Forward and a second from Councilman Ronay. And I see that there's plenty of folks in the crowd, and I see that I had asked Mr. Dilkey to delay his open forum conversation because it dealt with this issue in particular. So I think that maybe, since we've got a little time on our hands, maybe we have somebody from either side kind of talk so it doesn't feel like it's entirely one-sided. So Alexa, you're the delegate. Why don't you spend a few minutes and just kind of explain the necessity for doubling the bid tax? And if you, make your way up to the podium and hit the button. And I guess you heard what majority of the council knows. That I think that Ron and Robin did a pretty good job of outlining what was included in the packet. So that's about the baseline of information that people have. They also do have your little brochure that you had sent over to the city with the letter, which is also included in the packet. But what is your elevator pitch here, Alexa?
Well, thank you for having me tonight here. We have multiple members from the Bid One board here tonight in support of this. And really what this stems from is the fact that the Bid One has not increased since its conception over 20 years ago. Obviously, there's been some inflation over 20 years. As of this year, right now, we have already spent the 2024 budget on just replacing benches downtown. And we are unable to do more than that project based on what we bring in for the funds. So really the purpose of increasing the Bid One funding is so we can have more tangible projects move more quickly downtown. Based on the community survey results this past year, that was a common call from the community is downtown needs more beautification, more cleanup, more art, more things like that, and we cannot accomplish that at the rate we are going with our funding. We've had multiple property owners reach out to us. In September 2023, we held a property owners meeting where we invited every property owner within our district, and we held a SWOT analysis of downtown. And overwhelmingly, the most common theme was that there needed to be more beautification and upkeep of downtown. And that is on our shoulders. And so it's part of our call to action to step up and start taking care of those things. But right now, we do not have adequate funds. So that's really where we're coming from with this project and hope to increase those funds. If it were to go through this year, we wouldn't see any funds until 2026. So this is as proactive as we can be for 2026, and that's why it's important for us to take action now. We have waited a little bit longer than we probably should have, but there's no better time than now to start moving forward and look to the future to make more improvements downtown.
And Alexa, how many people showed up to the downtown meeting that you referred to?
So we had over 30 stakeholders at that meeting, and we
And
held.
our stakeholders, business, like building owners?
And
30
we had some
building owners?
business owners as well, but the property owners that were invited may have been a property owner and they own their business. And so we did have businesses and owners of different sizes, some of the smaller businesses and owners. We had some of the largest property owners arrive to that meeting as well. We also spoke with, we've reached about 25% of the property owners downtown one-on-one since we started this process probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. And so far we've gotten 100% yeses. And that makes up 25% of the district. We plan to continue having those one-on-one conversations, but that's how many people we've managed to get to within the last month or so.
All right, any questions for Alexa on the process or project? All right, well, I think that if there's nothing else for you to add, I'll have Matt Dilkey make his way to the podium. Thank you very much for joining us, Alexa. I appreciate your input on this.
Thank you.
Matt is a downtown building owner and wanted to talk about this topic. Matt, what have you got?
I got nothing really solid prepared. I learned about this meeting a couple hours ago. But I think it's important to note, anytime something is done by a downtown association, they do a lot of good stuff. But what's always failed is the communication of getting the downtown business owners involved. It's pretty simple. We've said this for years. Emails, phone calls are very easy to do. A letter is always nice, whatever. They usually aren't done. So when they say the 25% of businesses have been contacted and are for it, to me, that's kind of like saying the mall is 80% full. They have a few big retailers in there. That 25% is going to be the big landowners downtown. So it's not 25% of building owners, it's 25% of landowners. There's a big difference when you have a bank that owns probably 20% of the downtown land, and they're one of them. So I reached out to about half a dozen people downtown that own businesses in buildings. Not a single one of them said they were for this. So that's my 2 cents on it. The beautification part, I think that's a great idea, but this money is really gone after because we lost a parking tax a couple years ago, and this is to make up the shortfall. I don't think it really has anything to do with benches or flowers. So, but that's my sense. The consensus is not there. Building owners, property owners have not been reached out to in the state they should have been before this even got this far. This reminds me a lot of a few years ago. I think you guys remember the sign ordinance. That's about how this went too. So, that was it.
Any questions from Mr. Desmond? All right, thank you for joining us, Matt. Appreciate your insight into that. How about members of the council? Any discussion? Would you guys like that?
No.
Oh,
If I could,
Councilman Ronay?
really briefly, I'm going to vote for this, but I'm not, this does not express my intent to vote for the ordinance itself. I'm looking forward to the conversation, and I think maybe most of the council is. I would like to hear from property owners, but I think we need to start the process, and so I'll support this step.
Councilman Justin? What do you?
I would also support this resolution as well. What I would like to know is what other cities similar to Aberdeen, what their rates are. I mean, we're essentially doubling a tax, which seems kind of high. So, I mean, I hope it's comparable to other cities, I guess. So I don't know if we could have something like that for the next time we talk about it, but.
And Matt had brought up too a point on kind of topic with that. Robin, when you and I discussed it, that, or maybe Alexa even knows, the lost revenue from the parking line item, because when the city was sued for collecting a parking tax and it was eliminated, what type of a revenue was lost as a result of that? Do we have an idea? Jordan has that. Jordan?
So I have data going back through 2001. It generated roughly $45,000 to $50,000 through about 2010. Then it ramped up to around the 80s, and when it was final or repealed in 2018, it was generating roughly $120,000 a year.
And all of that money went directly to the bid.
That was paid out to the entity that administered parking.
Which was separate from bid.
It was separate from the,
Correct.
yeah, it was a parking district, yeah.
All right. Anyone else from the council have anything to contribute? Josh, what have you?
I mean, I have one meeting left after this, so this isn't really going to affect me too terribly much. But, I think it makes sense to at least have the conversation, right, to get all sides and hear all sides. And so by supporting this, as Rob said, that this resolution of intent doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen, but it gives everybody a chance to speak their mind. I think that makes sense.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
I just like to call some attention to the work that the Aberdeen Downtown Association is doing. I've been on representing the council on that board for feels like almost a year now, and there's a lot of dynamic energy happening on that association. And so, if the appetite isn't here for this tax, I do think we have to look as a community to finding funds to support their work somehow. And if the parking tax is impossible, and if this isn't the appetite that the landowners have, then we've got a responsibility to support the work that they're doing, because it's good, important work to try and attract young, energetic families who want to work downtown, and also older families who want to live downtown and have walkable stores and businesses and restaurants to go to. So dynamic downtown benefits us all, and so if this isn't the route, then we need to find a different route forward.
All right, and then back to the timeline discussion. Ron, if this resolution passes, our finance office will mail every person that owns a property, and we're confident we've got, because I talked to a number of landowners today just out of curiosity, because just to find out, and that's where I'd seen the postcard that they had sent, so some of the landowners had those, but others didn't know, and I didn't know if that was something that, do we have a current list of everybody's actual mailing addresses?
Jordan is working with the Director of Equalization to get that list of all the property owners downtown. We will be providing them with a complete copy of the resolution with the notice of hearing. That same notice of hearing will be published in the newspaper at that time too. So, I mean, there will be opportunities.
Could we
for
also
them-
maybe give them calls, like, you know, Matt was saying that, you know, it feels like some of these people maybe didn't hear about it, but have we got their phone numbers? Is it possible for us to give people a call and just,
I don't often have the correct name of the business. This is data from the county system. The best I can do is provide a notice to the address on file. I can have the publication ready and available for email distribution. If anybody wants to reach out to City Hall, we could send it out to them.
And we can put it on our website as well.
Correct.
sure, and maybe Alexa has a number for these people. I think that communication is gonna be important to make sure that there's, you know, good buy-in, that we have this good discussion from everybody. Alexa, would you be able to work with our finance department and make those, and help us get through notification to ensure that the business owners are aware?
Yes, absolutely. And we did mail out the postcard to every house number within the district. But like you said, you know, sometimes businesses change or maybe it's vacated, so we don't have the most up-to-date email or phone number. So if we could have people send those into the city or through the website, that would be so helpful so we can actually reach out to people.
Great. Sounds good. Anyone else from the council have any discussion on this? David, you're awful quiet over there.
Everything I was gonna say has been said, so keeping it.
Charlotte?
You have a general feeling as to what the percentage is for and against? Does anybody? I think everybody should have a chance to express their opinion. Can you just have one big call to arms meeting and?
Yeah, and I think that we will then, right?
Yeah.
That'll be kind of the open forum segment of the first ordinance reading. We'll publish that, we'll do the best we can to make calls, we'll make sure that
I
everyone's
think
aware.
that's a good place to start. Then we'll know.
All right, anyone else with a differing opinion other than supporting the resolution and then having that discussion with the property owners when that time comes? All right, we've got our motion, we've got our second. If there's nothing else, then Jordan, why don't you give us a roll call vote on this resolution of intent?
Councilmember Norpstra,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Rife,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Fauberg,
Aye.
Ronayne,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate the input on this, and good luck with the continued hard work and efforts of the organization. Next, we've got our review and approval of claims and payroll. We've got the bills, of course, for today, June 3rd, and the previous week, as well as May 19th through June 1st's employment costs for all of our city payroll. Take a motion to approve those expenses.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Councilman Liebelt, second, Councilman Ronayne. Anything on this one before we take our vote? Jordan, would you give us a roll call?
Councilmember Ronayne,
Aye.
Fauberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Rife,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norpstra,
Aye.
Mayor Shoneman.
Aye. Motion carries. Next, we've got our city manager's report. Robin, what have you got for us this evening?
This week, we'll be doing 4 milestone certificates for staff. You know, and it's every 5-year increment, so it's a lot of times it's only a couple a month. This week alone, it's 4 of them. Last week, we did 2 certificates. One was, well, both of them were in the police department. One was Braxton Farman, who was at 5 years, and Dar Vandover, who got his 10-year certificate for the second time. So it was really fun visiting with Dar, because he had a lot of stories from when he started out as a patrolman, and you can tell he still loves his job, and it's really neat to hear those stories. And you can see Braxton's energy and his approach to his job at 5 years, and it's really neat to see that, so. Secondly, last week we had a discussion with the DOT staff regarding the two-way Main Street. We want to make sure we're timing out funding and stuff to meet the timelines that they're going to need to meet. So we did have a good lengthy discussion with them. On Friday, we had a ribbon cutting with for Bob's Barnyard Ride out at Wiley. Bob Grumman, who's been a huge part of the community and a big part of the Sertoma Club for, well, probably since the inception of Wiley, I think, is what they were saying, or real close to the very beginning of Wiley. And that was a really nice ceremony. The mayor was there. I think there were a few council people there. Shar was there, I know for sure. And those are really neat. There were a lot of people out there for that. So, and Parks did an excellent job in cleaning up after all the mud that they dealt with over the course of the last couple of weeks. It actually looked pretty good considering how it could have looked. So, and then I'm going to propose we do a work session here in the next month or so, and it's going to be about potential of signing an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, to become an early learner community. Is that the right term, Rod? And what we're going to be asked to do is become part of a early learner South Dakota. I think Brookings, Rapid City, and a few other smaller communities have signed up for this. They have, it sounds like the ADC is ready to sign up for it. The United Way is ready to sign up for it. They need 3 to 4 entities. I think that the big thing on this is that we're going to need to hear about what the expectations are from the community's standpoint, whether it's financial, whether it's just staff support, what types of things we're going to need to do to be helpful in this process. So I'm going to ask them to bring in a couple folks to try to walk us through that process. We have had one meeting, and I think there are a lot of questions that I know Ron and I had for sure, and we just want to make sure that before we're asking you to sign in on anything, that you know what it is we're potentially getting into. So this is for basically ages 1 through 8 is what it is, and kind of focuses in on learning opportunities, daycares, preschools, I think learning opportunities within the younger ages in the elementary school. So there's a lot of things that I have questions about, and I'm sure you will too. So I'd like to do a work session if that's okay, and we'll see if we can figure out how to move forward.
Thank you, Robin. I know a few of us on the council have met with those guys, at least in talking to a couple of other folks. And so, yeah, I think that there's a lot of good energy around that. Hopefully that can turn into something. Thank you to the employees of the city for the milestones that you've reached. One more thing I would like to make mention of: each year, a group called Spirit of Dakota nominates and awards a single woman to represent the city with a Spirit of Dakota award, and so they're seeking nominations. So if anyone has a great idea for a woman in this community that has made a major impact, let me know, and I can make sure that this nomination gets properly filled out so that we can continue to recognize women that are making a positive impact here in Aberdeen and across the state. So if there's nothing else, I would take a motion.
Mr. Mayor?
No, go ahead, Councilwoman.
I just want to
Are
ask.
you self-nominating?
No.
Aaron.
Char, it's Char's birthday. We should nominate Char.
Oh, happy birthday, Char. Must not be on Facebook. No.
I just wanted to ask, because I had a few constituents messaging me over the last week. There's a local candidate who has a ad out and a postcard out with the city manager's photo in it, and the question was whether the city manager is endorsing a candidate for office, and so I just wanted to ask the city manager that question.
I'm not endorsing anybody. It's been my policy not to be part part of endorsements because we need to make sure we're working with whoever's in office at the time. So no, I have not endorsed anybody.
Okay, thank you.
All right, if there's nothing further, I would take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Moved.
Second.
Motion Ronay, second Justin Reinbold. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned.